Chris Lee, Blake Lovell, and Max Barr here to break down Kentucky's road trip to Florida in the SEC opener for both teams. You can catch this on ESPN, 11:30 Central on Saturday. We are doing this Wednesday morning, so we do not have the lines yet, but here's an idea where this might be headed between BPI, Bart Torvik, and Ken Pomeroy. Those teams average Florida as about a 2.5-point favorite with about a 56% chance to win. Before we break it down further, just a reminder, our channel is presented by BetOnline. The NFL playoffs are right around the corner. The NBA season is in full swing. BetOnline has you covered with all the up to the second odds, news, and scores, with additional odds, lines, trends, and info on both desktop and mobile. You can access the world's best wagering information at any time. Head there today to get in on the action, see all the updated odds. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. All right, gentlemen, we have had much debate about whether Kentucky or Tennessee has been the best team in the league. It seems like we have fun with that every week. The Wildcats are playing pretty well, but so is Florida, which is really under Todd Golden. I think taking some steps to become much more competitive. I think if the season ended today, the Gators would have an excellent shot at the NCAA tournament, but they are facing the team, Blake, that I think we have all said we're not sure who the best team in this league is, but I think we're all pretty sure that if everybody in this league plays to its ceiling, I mean, I say pretty sure. I don't know that we're sure, but we think it's probably Kentucky. So I'm very interested to see how this one works out. Very young Kentucky team and a very good Florida team that's, I think, flown a little bit under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's won 6 in a row, and the difference now is, of course, they've gotten everybody on the roster that's on the floor, actually. Where they've had guys miss some games earlier in the season and such, and you could certainly say that accounted for, 1 or 2 of their losses, perhaps. I think that's kind of what you have to have, a tale of two halves in non-conference play, because you've really started to see them step up with some pretty impressive performances. Maybe you should take the East Carolina one out. That was a little bit of a grind to win that one. But the Michigan game, we talked about what that did for their confidence. And yeah, I think it's just the style of play. Like, I think they're playing the way they need to play to be very successful. The tempo is up. They're scoring a lot of points because of it. They're getting the ball out and letting all their guards, which I think is the strength of the team. They're letting them kind of just work and do their thing. And you've got Samuel and Condon and Hanlogden and all those guys there to clean things up in the paint and all that. So yeah, I mean, it's Florida's definitely carrying a lot of momentum right now, but of course, so is Kentucky. And yeah, this is a lot of ways you could go in terms of like picking. There's a lot of good games on this opening SEC slate, which we're previewing 3 in particular, kind of as the headliner games, and this is definitely one of them based on the matchup.
You're not going to want to miss this one. I mean, both teams are top 20 in offensive tempo. Both teams have plenty of shot makers that shoot great true shooting percentages. This is going to be a fun one. This is probably the one I'm most excited for, just as an entertainment standpoint. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. When you break it down originally, you got to understand that I think Blake mentioned this in a previous video, that this is Kentucky's first true road game. I'm not counting the game at Louisville when there was about 15 and a half fans there. The Florida students start their semester on Monday. You best believe they're all going to be there for this Saturday game. This is the place going to be rocking for Kentucky coming to town. And I know the freshmen have been phenomenal. They have been we thought they were going to be great. They've been even better than we thought, especially Reed Shepherd. But I mean, they're still 18, 19-year-olds, right? And you play your first game in a hostile environment, a real hostile environment. It's got to have some effect. You got to put some sort of value in that. But when you look at the matchup, there's this account on Twitter, great account, Shot Quality. It does a lot of great data with true shooting percentages and whatnot. And they gave out a graph of the Power 5 teams and distance from 3-point shooters, right? Average distance of defender to shooter. And surprisingly, Florida is the second worst Power 5 team at distance from 3-point shooter. The only team worse than Florida is Louisville. So you got to take that into consideration playing against a Kentucky team that is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the nation. So I think Kentucky is going to get plenty of looks. But when you look at the rebounding battle, the numbers suggest Florida's going to crush this thing. They're going to absolutely crush the boards. Tyrese Samuel and Logton, and then you got Haw and Condon, coming in rotation. They're just going to crush the boards. Well, I don't think it's going to be as big of a rebounding disparity as the numbers are suggesting. I think the numbers are a little bit off. And Bart Torvik, one of the great things about Bart Torvik is you can filter the data for like specific times. And if you look at the whole season, Kentucky ranks 229th in offensive rebounding rate, right? Only 27.9%. When you show only the data for when Aaron Bradshaw and Onyenso have played, they rank all the way up at 67th. So from 229th to 67 at 34%. So their offensive rebounding at a rate about 6% higher than the numbers are suggesting. So I think that rebounding data is a bit off. I think the battle is going to be a bit closer than the numbers are suggesting.
All right, gentlemen, quick correction. I had something a little bit off in the data. Florida's actually about 1.5%, or excuse me, about 1.5 favorite in this one. Ken Pomeroy actually has got Kentucky a road favorite, so I had that backwards. So adjusting for that, Florida's got about a 56% chance of winning this one. And I want to talk about the Gators roster for a minute because health, availability have been issues at times, but you look, Tyrese Samuel has been one of the better players in this league. He's kind of flown under the radar. Ken Palm's got him as the 25th best player in the country on his algorithm.
Not with me.
So that's kind of interesting.
I've been flying under the radar with me.
Blake
point that
Logan.
out. No chance. I was the Tyrese Samuel guy before there was a Tyrese Samuel guy. So,
this is true. I've loved this roster. I mean, Samuel, Pullen, Clayton, Richard, and Logton have all played well. Alex Condon has shown up and done nice things at times. And this is all without Riley Kugel really having the season that we thought he could have. I think this is a roster that, if you're not really locked into it, is maybe better, other than Blake. Blake, you get a pass on this. Maybe better than the public at large would know. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, we've said if they have everybody on the roster, like Florida's a surefire NCAA tournament team.
Oh, yeah.
Because their guard group's as good as anybody's in terms of the options that they have. And then you've got Tyrese Samuel, who's quite frankly been one of the most consistent players, probably not just in the SEC, but in the country. Like, if you just look at the numbers, like, he is just rock solid. Like, he is consistent as can be. And yeah, so I mean, it's Florida's, we talk about sleeper teams to win the conference and all that. I don't know if maybe they win the conference, but like they're an interesting team, like, because I think they're as talented as anybody. And just when it all comes together, again, that guard group can push a lot, and it's just the tempo they play at. Like, they're going to force some teams to be uncomfortable playing at their pace. And so, I mean, take for example, right? Like, Mississippi State probably didn't want to play at that pace all the time. Like, there are other teams in the SEC that aren't going to want to play at that same kind of pace. So, yeah, I mean, Ole Miss, teams like that. So, yeah, this Florida teams, they're good. And again, we're finally starting to see that, and because they just have everybody on the floor now consistently. So,
yeah, we've said time and time again how if Logton and Pullen were healthy early on, those early season results are definitely going to be different. And you watch this Florida team, you're like, man, they just look good. They're the 12th tallest team in the country. They bring in Condon and Haw, and you're like, there's no drop off in the front court here. And I think something that's significant that you said, Chris, is they've done this without Riley Kugel's expectation, right? They're on in the month of December, 6-0, right? They've won 6 straight, all coming in December after they lost the last 2 games in November. When you filter Bart Torvik's numbers to just show data from December, only the month of December, Riley Kugel is dead last in the entire conference in plus minus, and like by a few points. So They're rattling off 6 in a row against Michigan, East Carolina, Richmond, decent programs. They're rattling off 6 in a row with who we thought their best player was not playing well at all. That just goes to show the quality of depth that this team has. I mean, just wait. Do I think Kugel's going to be in a slump the whole season? No, this kid's, so talented. So that's another positive. You're winning games with one of your best scorers not playing well. That's impressive.
All right, gentlemen, picks. Let's start with Blake. Who wins and why?
Well, so as mentioned previously, I did the show with Hoop Southbound recently, and I made my picks for all the opening day slate of SEC basketball. And so to this point in our prediction series, I have stayed the course, the same picks I made over there. And I did that probably 3 or 4 days ago. But let me tell you right now, I am hedging on this game because I picked Florida on their show. And I listed all the reasons why. It's all the reasons we just talked about in terms of why, Florida may be kind of undervalued a bit here. And although the computers seem to be okay with picking Florida, it's a home game. It's a great setup. This is, like I said, first true road game for Kentucky. We're not counting Louisville. All those reasons you pick Florida. But this is the game I'm hedging on. And I'm going to pick Kentucky on this show because, sorry, I don't like to always hedge my bets. Chris knows I like to really never hedge when it comes to talking about games. But on this one, I'm just like, that's been several days. There's a reason why some of us have voted Kentucky continually at number 1 over the past month or several weeks, whatever it's been. And I just think I'm going to lean on that here and just say that this Kentucky team feels different. And I think that they have kind of enough firepower here to win what I think will be a high scoring game. But it's not going to be easy. And again, there's a reason why I picked Florida several days ago, but I'll go with the hedge here and pick Kentucky and pick this to be one of those games where we just start to say, all right, for anyone that had questions about Kentucky, maybe this is that game where they come out and put together a really good performance and take care of business. Because look, to this point, Florida won that game against Michigan. Yes, it was a double overtime game, but that's probably their best win to this point, right? And we've seen what Kentucky's done against North Carolina. We've seen what just blowout against Miami, which I know Miami's has been a little bit up and down at times, but so yeah, I'm going to pick Kentucky.
I like it, Blake. I like it, and I am picking Kentucky as well. I genuinely think that with those rebounding numbers being a bit off, I think the number that the computers are spitting out to get this spread, I think it's a point or two off. I really think that rebounding rate with Bradshaw and Yenso being 6% higher than what the number's spitting out for the full season. I genuinely think there's a little bit of value there, and I'm going to take Kentucky.
We did it again. I've been on the fence on this one. Here's what it comes down to for me. My initial inclination was I'm going to pick the home team in this one. If it had been Kentucky, I would have taken Kentucky. If it had been Florida, I would take Florida. That was my initial inclination. But I started thinking a little bit more. I really like Florida's roster. I love Kentucky's roster.
Yeah.
This team has started to put it together a little bit more. This is one of those that I think if I get it wrong, I would feel a little dumber picking against Kentucky than I would against Florida, if that makes sense. I can see Florida winning this game, could be, but this could also be one of these games where you look back and say, man, I picked Florida. I should have known better with the way Kentucky's playing. It's starting to come together with Reed Shepherd and all those guys. So for that reason, I'm picking Kentucky, but can't wait to watch this one. I think both teams are very good, and I think we'll see both teams in March. All right. This has been Chris Lee, Blake Lovell, and Max Barr. We are Southeastern 14, presented by Bet Online.